The 968th edition of the MMA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog. Underdog is hooking up new customers. Play just $5 and get $100 in bonus funds when you sign up with promo code MMA SGPN.
Howdy ho, degenerinos. Welcome to episode 968 of the MMA Gambling Podcast, the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Let's find someone in the Discord to give it out to. JRick29. I don't think I've given you an episode yet, so this goes out to you. I am the Dessert Warrior, Jeff Fox. Changed my name finally. That is Daniel Gumby Vreeland. We're covering Anthony Pettis FC today. So they're in Bengaluru. I assume that must be in Wisconsin because that's where Anthony Pettis runs out of. So Bengaluru, Wisconsin, hosting Anthony Pettis FC.
Nope.
No, I mean we're on Gumby.
No, yeah, that's the logical progression, right? Like we've gone Wisconsin, Virginia, Wisconsin, Virginia. I think they went to New Mexico. Actually, yeah, the most recent one was in New Mexico and all that. And of course, where are they going? The logical progression after that, obviously to India, right? We're going right to India.
India, exactly. Bengaluru is one of the big cities in India, and
which
they're running there.
You already knew that.
No, I looked it up, but yes, I assume every city in India is big because there's a lot of people in India. So, but yeah, this is like 12.5 million people there or something. So, it makes sense to be running events in India. It seems to be an untapped market still. We're getting more and more fighters from that country showing up on the bigger promotion, so it makes some sense. So. Question is, Gumby, how could you have found anything on the fighters on this card?
Well, actually, it wasn't all that hard trying to find footage on these fights. For some of them, they relied heavily on like Indian national organizations or Indian local promotions and stuff like that beforehand. And, they've actually been pretty good at uploading them to YouTube. Plus, you got Sumit Kumar, who has been, he fought for Road to the UFC, so his stuff was easily available as well. Yeah, overall, not too bad. And plus, I got my ways.
He has his ways. I'm assuming these are raw fighters. A lot of them have very short resumes, and they fought basically in the regional Indian scene, which I don't think is very robust at this point. So I assume we're gonna. Yeah, we're going to see some.
It is not
some fighters making their first steps into the sport. So we're not going to see the highest level, I assume.
that is correct. Not the highest level.
Are we going to find lines though, Gumby? Anthony Pettis lines.
Anthony Pettis FC lines. They're usually readily available. You get them all the time on the offshore books. Pretty often on the local books as well. At least some of the local books as well. So they're like usually pretty easy to find. My only caveat here is like they're usually easy to find when they're in that aforementioned Wisconsin, Virginia, occasional New Mexico range. And instead, like we're going to India. So I don't know how much that affects it because like on one hand, yeah, like it's a promotion they always do. But on the other hand, like, is it being in India with like some lower level fighters? Is that potentially going to throw a wrench in things? I don't know. But my guess would be that they will have them.
Time will tell. So we'll talk about that very shortly. Before we do, a reminder, we got a merch sale going on right now. So go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/store and you can gear up for the holidays at our merch store. It's a perfect gift for the degen in your life in the store there for your holiday code is, the code, it is a holiday code also, holiday, HOLIDAY. That gets you 25% off everything in the store, even all the amazing MMA Gambling Podcast merch that we have in there. Finding t-shirts, everything you're looking for. So sportsgamblingpodcast.com/store. Remember, holiday is your checkout code. All right, let's go to India, shall we? Anthony Pettis FC India 1. Bengaluru Fight Night 1 is going down this Friday, 7 a.m. Eastern. So another Degen special. It is on UFC Fight Pass. So you can watch it. You can decide what level of fighting this is. If you're in India, I'm sure we have plenty of people watching and or listening in India. Corman Gala Indoor Stadium Park is where it's taking place in Bengaluru. In a cage, nothing fancy. 8 fights right now. We're covering the 5 that Gumby it has chosen for us. Hopefully we can gamble on these as well because that's what it's all about, right? We're starting with not every fight, but this fight. Most of the fights are Indian versus Indian fighters, including this one, flyweight. Bishal, Sahu, Mohammad, Mahboob Khan. Mahboob, good nickname, but it's his real name. His nickname is the Deccan Tiger. That would be Khan. 2-0 with 2 knockouts, 3 inches taller than Sahu. Yeah, I told you short resumes. Sahu 7-3, 2 knockouts, 1 submission. He has been submitted himself once. He's won 2 straight in 2 of 5. Used to fight at 135 and 145. 2 years younger than Khan.
So my official guess for the line here is probably like a slight favorite on the side of Mahboob. He goes mostly by Mahboob Khan, or sometimes I've seen Mohammad Mahboob as well. So like, I'm not trying my best not to laugh at the name all the time. No offense, but to Mahboob. But yeah, no, my guess is he's the slight favorite. He's got a little bit more impressive of an AMI background. If you watch some of his previous fights, I really like the stand-up stuff. Quick kicks, nice jab, nice little push kick. And you could see it all both before he was a pro and now that he is a pro. He fought for the IMMAF Junior Championship, so I believe that's, if I'm not mistaken, that's 17 and under, and he actually won the world championship at that level. I think he fought some IMMAF after that on the senior circuit. Did a little bit less good, but he won a junior championship, so that's not nothing to scoff at there. And so, like I said, his hands look really good. I've seen him hit a couple of double leg takedowns. Seems like there's a little bit of wasted energy there on his side. He does tend to like really pick people up and slam them, kind of winds up in guard more than not. So like there's some room to grow in the grappling, but I do like the hands and I think he's quick. On the side of Sahu, like he's got like a stabbing kick that he uses, which is pretty strong, but it's maybe it's not used for as much damage as you might see Khan use it for. He's definitely less fast. And overall, the biggest issue on the Sahu side is his takedown defense is just garbage. It's really bad. I don't want to knock fighters on here, or maybe I do. But I don't always knock fighters on here. But like I watched his takedown defense and basically said right out the gate, I was like, if he's fighting anybody with a takedown, he's done. He just doesn't have a lot of ideas when he's down. His takedown defense is not good. You can basically floor him anytime you want. So on one hand, I think Khan is already the better striker with kind of the better pedigree and the tougher opponents. And then like he kind of just has the ace up his sleeve where he can just like take down whoever he wants, whenever he wants in that fight. So my official pick here, I'm gonna take Khan. My guess is a slight favorite.
All right, go for the boob. Lock it in. All right, we're moving up the card. We are going to 135 now. Prakhar Shubhasung, he is from India. Luka Pisarić, he is from Serbia. Sorry, don't want to mess that up. From Serbia, 3 500 rounds, 135. Pisarić, 1-0 with 1 submission. He's not fought since May of 2023. Used to fight at 145, 7 years younger than Shubhasung. Why one fight Serbian fighter is in India? Maybe Gumby knows. Shubhasung. Okay, good. We'll leave it a mystery. Shubhasung 3-2 with 1 submission. He's been knocked out once. He's won 2 of 3, but he did lose his last bout.
So this is an interesting one for me because on one hand, we talked a couple of episodes ago, particularly on the Arcana episode, about what happens when there are local fighters fighting for local promotions. And typically, the odds swing in their favor. But here we have, kind of a local fighter versus a guy who I think's maybe just got a little bit more prestige on his name. And we're going to see that in the next fight too. We got a Russian in that fight, and obviously that typically sways the odds as well. But here, I think Pisaric's record and stuff is still going to weigh a little bit more than, Shubhasung being the home crowd guy. So I'm going to say Pisaric -165, -170, that kind of range. And I'm gonna pick him here for this fight. The reason I like him is I like the kicks to all ranges for him. He's a guy who will throw a kick to the legs, he'll throw a kick to the body, he'll throw a kick to the head, and he'll mix up the way that he's throwing them. And he uses them at the right times too, right? Like when he's trying to punish you for moving in too quick, he hits you to the body. When you're too heavy on your front foot, he works the legs. If he's trying to keep you honest, he works the head. So I like the kicks to all levels. Does kind of have like a nice body lock takedown. He hasn't used it all that much. In all honesty, I think his grappling has been his weakest point. And he's had a layoff from his last fight. That's actually, I looked it up. He's been competing in Abu Dhabi's, not the ADCCs. Like he didn't qualify for the championships, but they have like local tournaments too. And he's been doing some of those to sort of, I think, round out his game, which is perfect to do at the age he's at and at the experience level he's at. So maybe that helps him get to where he needs to be. But the bottom line is, I think I like his striking enough that I don't even really care how good his grappling has gotten. It's not like Shubhasung is like a good grappler in the first place. I'm not really impressed with his takedowns or his takedown defense. From a striking side, it seems like he has a tough time finding range, throws big wide arm punches, and kind of comes up short on a lot of his strikes early in fights, while he's trying to figure things out. So like if you're up against a guy who is really good at working the legs, kicking, and all of those types of things, like not being able to find the range is a huge problem, right? Like you're just gonna get your leg lit up at the early part of the fight, and then you're gonna have to like step through some things in order to try to land. And I think we're gonna see that from Shubhasung. I think that that's probably too big of a problem for him to overcome. I think you're gonna see those kicks from Pisarić is just kind of take over the fight. So he's my pick here. My guess, south at -200, but he'll be the favorite.
All right, lock it in. The invader and enemy turf. All right, before we get you more winners, I'll tell you about Novig. It's NOVIG. We are brought to you by them, obviously. Novig is America's #1 sports prediction market. Novig are getting the best prices. They have reduced juice on bets. Novig is available in 35 plus states. Download the Novig app and get $50 when you spend $5 if you use our promo code SGPN. Get in on the action with Novig, promo code SGPN. And Underdog. Underdog is your home for pick-up entries where you win up to 5,000 times your entry. Gumby probably has to play for you. Yesterday, somehow...
You caught me off guard yesterday. I
Yeah.
I don't know how it happened. I think my internet's been spotty as hell over here, and I was sleeping at the wheel. Yeah, for my underdog fantasy pick here for Monday, we'll go to the NFL. We got the Giants playing the Patriots here on Monday night. We'll take the higher than on Jackson Dart's rushing touchdowns. 0.5 is what we got it listed at. I think he's going to run around, scramble around a whole bunch, and probably find that end zone in his return game. Give me the higher than on Jackson Dart's rushing touchdowns.
Back-to-back days, you've taken a Giants play, Gumby.
It's fine. Believe in them because they're far enough behind the Cowboys where it doesn't matter anymore.
He hates the Giants, but perhaps you hate the home area team more.
Yeah, I don't like
Is that what's going on here?
Yeah, I'm a loathing New Englander.
Yep. All right. I don't know. I've got a brand new offer for new customers. Play just $5 and get $100 of bonus funds when you sign up with our code MMASGPN. All right. Let's go back to India. We've got another invader on enemy turf here. Not Singh Niranjan. He is Indian, but Murad Kurbanov. We got our first OV. He is from Russia. 3 5-minute rounds at 135 this time. Kurbanov, 9-5, 1 knockout, 7 submissions. He's been knocked out 4 times, submitted once. That makes him non-durable. He owes his rounds as well. He has lost 2 straight and gone 2 and 3 over his last 5. Past 2 losses, both via TKO. He's not fought since July 2024. He last won a fight December 2023. He has fought at 125, 145, and 155, 3 inches taller than Niranjan. Niranjan, 2-1 with 1 knockout. He's never been finished. TKO win in his last bout. Used fight at 145. 8 years younger than Kurbanov.
So I mentioned this fight earlier on the card. I think, when you get the OV name, it's a little bit harder for him not to be a favorite, especially fighting over in a place where there's probably not that big of a base of MMA. The local flavor of being an Indian fighter, I don't think will necessarily help out Niranjan quite as much. So my guess is Kurbanov, like -230, probably like a +210 return on Niranjan. And I'm actually going to go dog on this one. I'm going to go against the Russian here against the local Indian fighter. Couple of reasons. First of all, I saw the Russian name and I'm like, Indian fighters tend to, at least some of the ones we've broken down earlier, tend to have a little bit lower quality wrestling, especially the takedown defense. And I watched Niranjan and like, he's kind of got it all. Like I was kind of surprised at how complete of a fighter he looked like. Striking wise, he's one of the most technically sound guys on the card, I would say. Hands high, really quick, in and out, uses his jab to set things up, good footwork, good head work. I was trying to like poke holes in what he was doing from a striking standpoint, and I was like, he's actually pretty tight for a regional guy at this kind of level. So I like that. I think he's a touch faster than Kurbanov, who I think is a little bit spottier on the feet. And then on the other side of things too, from the wrestling side, is he necessarily a better wrestler than Kurbanov? I don't think so necessarily, but there's a lot of things that he does that are better than Kurbanov. Like when they're up against the cage, his drive against the cage and his head placement, excellent. It's really good at keeping people there. Now, he might not be better at getting down to the hips and finishing that takedown, but look, like that might be all he needs against Kurbanov, right? Like he's the faster, better striker. So if he's got some like good technique up against the cage and maybe can prevent himself from being taken down a couple of times, force this into being a striking match. If this forces into being a striking match, I actually think he's a lot better of a striker. And at like, probably 2-1 money, maybe even a little bit better than that, I'll take that. So yeah, give me the underdog Niranjan in this one.
All right. Sounds good to me. Co-main event time. It is an Indian versus Indian matchup at 170 pounds. That would be welterweight. Prathmesh Deshpande versus Sumit Bhyan. Something like that. 3 5 rounds, 170. Bhyan. It's like Brian with an H instead of an R.
Do you know the amount of times I said Brian or typed Brian getting ready for this?
I bet. We'll call him Eagle. That's easier. He's 3-2. 1 knockout, 1 submission. He's been knocked out twice. He's won 2 of 3, including his last bout. He got TKO'd in. He didn't win that one. 1-2-1 championship at one time, the biggest promotion in the world. 2 years younger than Deshpande, 2 inches taller. Deshpande is 4-0 with 2 knockouts. He won via TKO in his last bout. That was back in February 2024. Used to fight up at middleweight.
So I'm going to go with what I expect to be another underdog here. I'm going to take Bhyan. Bhyan, for me, man, he's one of these fighters on this card, and I'll talk about another one in the main event, that like, I just don't understand why your hands are not higher than the way they are. Like, I was watching his fight and I was like, dude, pick those hands. What could they be achieving at the current level that they're at? Why would they be where they currently are? And like, obviously that's a huge problem here, is because like he could just get knocked out. Deshpande like has a good straight right that he could throw right down the chimney and probably knock him out at the end of the day. And like, that's obviously a problem. But the other piece of this all is like, I kind of just trust the wrestling of Bhyan. Like, if you watch him when he was fighting in 1FC, actually in a 1FC loss, he gets his opponent down almost immediately in that fight. Like, his opponent, he shoots a double, he takes him down, he looks like he's doing good things on top, then he stands up and his hands return to like his hips and he gets punched in the head and knocked out. While that's bad, I think he's fighting like a lower level of opponent here who might just like succumb to those takedown attempts. If I went back and I watched Despande's one of his most recent fights, he fought an 0-0 guy who still has not taken another fight since then. He's now 0-1 because Despande did beat him. But when I watched that fight, Despande gets taken down like really early by an 0-0 guy who like looks kind of out of shape. And so like, we're talking about one guy who fought for 1FC and looked kind of good until he got hit, which is like, whatever. And we got another guy who like looked kind of spotty against like maybe bad level of competition. And again, like I do think his high guard, his straight right is dangerous for Bhyan. And like, there's a chance that this just looks stupid because Bhyan just doesn't protect his face. But I do think we're going to get him at 2-1 money again. So I'll take another 2-1 underdog here, most likely, and Bhyan, with the just caveat, please, for the love of God, protect your face.
All right. Lock in Bhyan. Before we get to our main event and lightning round, let me tell you about Rhythm. RATHMM. Rhythm is crushing it in college football, NFL, and now just out of the NBA. Rhythm is also giving away weekly cash prizes just for tracking your bets in the app. Track 5 bets of the same type from any model you build, and you can win $1,000. Do you have a play for us that's not New York Giants?
Oh yeah, I can't. No, I can take New York Giants because we got.
Right.
That's the beautiful thing about Rhythm. We don't just have to pick. I guess we've been a little bit heavy in the NFL game though, haven't we? No, you know what? Screw it. I'm going with the Giants anyway. The Giants are going to win this game, but I'm going to take Ramondre Stevenson's higher than on his rushing yards too. That dude is just going to steamroll through this Giants defense, which has been pretty bad. Give me the higher than or the over on Ramondre Stevenson's rushing yards.
All right. Use our promo code SGPN25 when you download the Rhythm app for 25% off your first month. So download Rhythm, RITHMM, and use promo code SGPN25. Our main event is flyweights. India versus India. Sumit, Kumar, Ehtesham, which isn't even hard to say. Ehtesham, Ansari. Tell you about Ansari first. 6-2, 1 knockout, 3 submissions. He's been knocked out once. He's won 2 of 3, but he did get TKO'd in his last bout. He used to fight up at bantamweight. Kumar, the Indian kid, 5-1, 3 knockouts, 2 submissions. Never been finished in a fight. TKO win in his last bout. That was back in July of 2024. He's not lost since May 2023. He went 0-1 in the road to UFC. He's fed at 135, 3 years younger than Ansari.
So I don't know if you remember when we were breaking down Sumit Kumar's fight on Road to the UFC. He fought Sung Guk Choi. And in that fight, I think a lot of people wrote him off. Like the money came in late on Sung Guk Choi, I think mostly because it came to head that he had like a bunch of record ineligible fights. Went from being listed at like 7-0 to being listed at like 4-0 right before the fight. And like, obviously that's not a good look. And with all of the like, spotty records we saw that one light heavyweight come in and lose a fight in like 30 seconds and then immediately get fired. Like, I think the betting public got off of Sumit Kumar, but I remember watching that fight and thinking like that he kind of impressed me. Like he took down Sungkook Choi. He swings a little bit wild on the feet. I don't really trust his striking, but like he looked good enough throwing on the feet that I was like, hey, maybe this guy is like not as bad as everybody was making him sound with those record ineligible fights. And I think he's got an incredibly winnable fight here against Ansari. So like if you watch Ansari, first of all, another one of those fighters that like, what are your hands doing, dude? Like what are your hands doing protecting the sides of your ribs? Because nobody works your ribs as hard as they'll work your chin, man. So like, first of all, get those damn hands up. And I don't, that's absolutely an easy thing to hit when you're a guy who just like swings like nuts. Like the guy is just going to keep his hands down. And then the other piece of that too is, while I was talking about that being true with Bhyan and Bhyan had some like wrestling to back it up, Ansari doesn't really have much of that to speak of. I did see him hit a takedown in one of his fights, and then he's like immediately sweeped in like the most BJJ 101 sense. Like that you go to your first day of jiu-jitsu and they're trying to teach you sweeps to get to your feet, and it's like flower sweep, scissor sweep, and those are like the two they'll teach you. And he gets like scissor swept, like he's by like a rookie BJJ guy. And maybe the guy wasn't a rookie. Maybe I'm miscategorizing it, but it was like the first sweep they teach you, and it worked on him in an MMA fight. And like, so obviously that's alarming, especially being that we've seen Kumar wrestle with like Sungkook Choi. So my guess here, both the road to the UFC pedigree mixed together with the fact that he's got, a decent looking record and is definitely the A side of this matchup. I think we're going to see like negative 400 on his name. He's going to be a big favorite, but I do think he wins this one pretty comfortably. So if you want to roll him in some parlays, I don't think that's all too bad. So once again, I'll take Sumit Kumar.
All right. Recap. Kumar, Bhyan, Niranjan, Pisarić, and Khan. Lightning rounds that been boom pal? Question mark.
All right, for my lightning round plays, I got two for you. The first one I'm going to take is Ryan Butt. That's right, his name's Butt. We got Mahboob and Butt here, which is good stuff. So Ryan Butt, 2-0, 2-0 contest, both of them coming by eye poke. He fought a bunch of times as an AMI, and so he's got like a much longer record than the 2-0 suggests, both because of the eye pokes and because of the AMI run. He fought some like pretty decent dudes in amateur too. He fought Quang Bang Lee, who's obviously now in the UFC. So he's had some like, pretty high level of competition, so shout out to Ryan Butt. And he does look like, he's pretty well rounded all around. And then the other one I'm going to take is Ngami Kekrienitso. Kekrienitso, 3-0, again, looks like a really well-rounded prospect. Probably looks better than some of the people I'm seeing on the main card. So that's Ngami Kekrienitso and Ryan Butt. We got my butt in Butt and Mahboob here. Great name episode.
Butt and Mahboob. That is what this show's all about. There you go. That's our sweet spot right there. All right. Hopefully you enjoyed it. We're going to Cage Warriors tomorrow. So much higher level competition in MMA and easier to get lines probably. We'll be in the Discord, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord. We'll be on YouTube at MMA Gambling Podcast. We'll be on Twitter, SGPN MMA, and at Gumby Vreeland and at Jeff Fox Writer, at Jeff Fox Writer Instagram. Get in my Substack, enter my UFC Pick'em contest. Check out my articles at moneymma.substack.com. Gumby has a nice podcast where he interviews MMA luminaries. Top Turtle, who is on it this week?
Yeah, for our episode today, this week rather, we got Myron Santos, who is making his, or is at least fighting again at UFC 323 this upcoming weekend. And then we talked to brand new to the UFC, AJ Fry, who should be making his debut on our, cross our fingers, one of our last Apex cards of the year, maybe our last Apex cards for a little while. So make sure you check out both those interviews.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. No more Apex for a while. All right, that's Top Turtle. Of course, we're at sportsgamblingpodcast.com, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/store. Remember your checkout code HOLIDAY, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. We'll be back tomorrow, as I promised, Cage Warriors, pretty big Cage Warriors event. We'll be covering that after Gumby bids you farewell.
I'm Dana Gumby Vreeland. He's the Canadian kid, Jeff Fox, and we will see you tomorrow.